everyone, we are going to be doing this image from Worlds of Wonder by Johanna Basford. I'm really keen on this particular picture. I think it's quite interesting. We've almost got two halves and a little bit of background on each one, and actually where we're going to start today is on the background of this one here. Now I'm going to be using my Castle Arts Gold, and I'm going to be using 4 different colours here. I'm going to tell you what they are in case you're going to grab some equivalents, so you know before we even start. So I'm going to start with the Purple Lake Deep, then the Mulberry, then the Lavender, and then the Mauve Deep. So I've got those 4. I was going to go even lighter to a pink, a sort of purple light, French Rose, one of those, but those don't work with a white pen on top. And I'm going to draw all these stars back in with a white pen at the end, and if I use the purpley pinky tones, they'll go bright pink over those, only those sections where I've used those colours. So I've decided against using that. The reason I'm going to use white on the stars is because I'm going to colour over them. I find that much easier. So let's get started. My next decision is I'm going to come in a little closer. Let's just move the book across a bit. But I need to keep the whole width in frame. Might be able to just do a tad more. There we go. We'll bring you down a bit. There we are. So my next decision, let's try and straighten up, is whether I start with my darkest part at the bottom of the page or at the top of the page. I like starting with my darkest colour first in either case. And I don't know how much it matters. I think I'm going to start at the bottom. I just feel a little bit more comfortable starting at the bottom. I don't know why. Partly perhaps because there's a lot of obstacles in our way at the bottom of the page, and I can get that bit done and out of the way a little bit more quickly. Now it's best to try and do a horizontal technique when you're colouring sunsets. It just looks more natural, but it's not very easy in these small spaces. So I'm just sort of doing partly what works for me and trying to get a bit of a horizontal going, but I've got to make sure I go up to the edge of the lines as much as I can. I'm going to start to fade this now at this level. I'm just having a look where it's going to start in different places and just fade it off like that. Our next colour is fairly similar, so it's going to blend in quite nicely, but we'll start fading it as we go up. Excuse me. So we may only do this sky today and not much else, but I'm not sure yet. I've already decided how I'm going to do the domes, but I don't know what I'm doing for the buildings themselves. We'll just leave those white. So my thought about taking this up is I wanted to make sure I had a bit of this at every level, if that sort of makes sense. This is our highest bit. Just going to put a bit in there and fade it off like that. Oh, we've got a bit here. It's a bit high, isn't it? I just put a really light bit there. So I hope everyone's doing okay. I just love this book, and I think I should be doing more in it. The page opposite the camel is one of my favourites, and it's coming up in next year's planner, which is exciting. So I haven't done it as a video, but I've forgotten to check if any of the others are in the planner, like this one. So maybe it is, but anyway, I'll have to do it again if it is. That'd be a shame. I thought I would do this kind of sky, by the way, because we've got stars, so it's more of a nighttime look, I think. But also I've shown you how to do the sort of red, orange, yellow type skies a few times now, and a sort of just a yellowy one before as well. There's a few videos of those, and I've looked back on those before and they seem perfectly fine. You know, obviously the more videos I make, the more experience I get. I sort of can change my methods a little bit, but I looked at those and I felt they were completely fine. You know, they were, still like them, which is always a good sign, and I felt the colours that I used worked, and etc. So those are there. If you fancy doing something that's more red, orange, yellow, then you've got that option if you wish. Now you could also, I do a lot of backgrounds with pastels. You can do this sort of graduating colour in a pastel, and it, over the line she goes, and it's reasonably easy to blend them and that sort of thing once you've got the knack and had a bit of practice. But we've got such small spaces here, it's quite difficult to fit it in, which is partly why I picked these pencils, because they blend quite nicely. Also, I wanted to use something a bit different because I've been using my polychromos a lot in videos lately, in my Stedlers and things. That's gone a bit high, but we're going to leave that there, and we're going to now move on to using the mulberry. Now the mulberry is really quite similar. I'll show you the swatch chart. This is the one we've just used, the Purple Lake Deep, and this is the mulberry, but it's slightly pinker, or redder, I suppose. And then we're going to move on and use the lavender and the mauve deep. So we're going to move into this sort of more lighter, pinker colour. That's the idea. So I'm going to go over what I've done already, and so it might end up looking quite samey, but that's part of the reason why I started at the bottom, because you tend to go over what you've done. I do. My technique is to go over what I've done already. I'm going to pop a bit in there. And it means that if I haven't quite gone up to the edge of the building, you know, that sort of thing, then I've got another layer there. So it's more likely that it sort of worked and we haven't got gaps type thing. So whereas once we do this bit up here, we'll only have the one colour. So oh, the sun, the sun, the sun. Hang on a minute, I'm going to shut the blind. It was raining just now. And I'm hoping the camera will adjust. It's looking a bit yellow. Oh, there we go. It seems to, is that bright enough? My light isn't, oh, just turn my light off. That's not going to help. I'll bring my light a little bit closer, I think. There we go. Hopefully that's okay. I've been fiddling with changing the position of my lamp. Now, how far up should we take this? I think this might do. Now I'm colouring over the stars, and I'm going to go over them in white pen, as I hinted at earlier, afterwards. I feel that is so much easier than trying to colour around them. If you try and colour around them, it's harder to get such a neat look. I'm not that neat anyway, so I need all the help I can get. So I'm just colouring over them. You can, if you don't have a white pen, or you don't want to, you don't have to colour over them, you can colour around them. It's completely up to you. I'm just going to lower my lamp a bit more. It's not really making any difference. Okay, and back to this one. So we're just doing a lot of over colouring really here, and then extending that area of colour. I've been doing this next door actually, at my desk. I was about to start this video. I tried to phone my husband and he wasn't available, because I'd made some phone calls for him, and then my mum rang, so I had a lovely natter with her. But I was going to come and do this. So, because I was so enthused about the idea of doing this, I actually started a similar page in a completely different book, in a Hannah Carlson book actually, in her space book. And I wanted to do like a sort of background, but I was using Prismacolor and I didn't need to do any white on that one, so I just grabbed any old colours. And I found I'm just going to push that up a bit further, fade it more, I think. I found a Sarah Renee Clark Colour Cube card with a sort of sunset on. It was actually the next one for me to use, and it went from a dark purple, which I actually didn't use, to a sort of pinky colour to peach to yellow. So what I did was I grabbed a handful of Prismas, so I went from sort of mulberry and dahlia purple to pink and then peach, and then what did I use? Oh, a sort of jasmine, lemon yellow and chartreuse yellow, that sort of thing, and I was quite pleased with it. You'll get to see it in my completed pages from yeah, August completed pages. Long time to wait, but I might, if it finishes off well, it's an if. I stuttered there, didn't I, at the if. If it finishes up well, I'll post it on my social media pages too. But we'll see. I don't always share everything on social media. I always share it all in my completed pages, but not always on my social media. The idea of my social media is not only to just give you guys something to look at, but also to try and get more people sort of following me and looking at my videos and things like that. So I want, it's sort of an advert, so it needs to look good. Whereas in my completed pages, it's a bit different. It's to sort of show you what I've been doing and to say, you know, not everything has to be, you know, most amazing. It depends what you're doing. You know, you can experiment. You can have a relaxing picture where you do very, where you don't do much, or it's not very exciting. Like I am in my July completed pages, there is a picture of, there is a really simple one that I coloured while I was watching the football because I needed something to keep me calm. I think it's weird. I don't know if it happens with other countries' teams. Tell me if it does. Like British people, players, teams in all sports, they seem to be inclined to do badly to start with and then play catch up, you know. So like if you're watching a tennis match, they might drop the first set or even two and then catch up and come on to win. Or if they're playing football, they might concede a couple of goals before they then get some themselves, that sort of thing. It's almost like we seem to feel we have to come from behind, sort of thing. I don't know whether that is just whether we really do that or whether you just notice it when they do, and whether other countries do the same thing. I mean, there are countries that are far better at sport than us, so maybe they don't. But I always think we do pretty well. It sounds big-headed, but considering the size of our country compared to the size of other countries, like you guys in Australia and America, you're huge. If you can't find some good sportsmen amongst your huge population, you know, you should be able to. Also, the funding is potentially higher because more people are paying tax into it, a sort of thing. But so I also think our guys do pretty well. But what we have is the government allocates some funding, and there's we have a national lottery which gives money to charities, and sports tend to get quite a big share of that. But if that particular sport, whether it be cycling, gymnastics, swimming or whatever, does well at World Championships or Olympics, then that helps them get more funding next time. And if they do badly, they get less, which actually feels like it's the wrong way round in a way. If you're doing well, something's right. So do you need the funding? But if you're doing badly, you obviously need to put a bit more into it, so surely the funding is needed. But I don't know. It's not something that obviously us mere plebs get involved in. But there we go. Right. Just doing a sort of rough bit up here. It's going to get a bit easier now because we're away from the buildings. Now, which is the next one? Lavender. So I've got lavender next, but I am going to go back over these lower areas again. I'm going to start on this side actually. This side's a little bit more awkward. I think it's just because of the angle of the book and the angle of my body and things like that. If I was doing it next door, I would tilt the book a bit, but try and keep it upright for you. I'm sure you don't mind, really. It just feels the right way to do it. It's okay doing it this way. It's trying to get that horizontal angle that I'm trying to do, like that. Sorry, not talking, concentrating. Yeah, so I was looking at the Olympics, what's timetable for today. So today it's the first day, really. The opening ceremony hasn't happened yet. So yeah, obviously recording this in advance, just so you don't get a bit like confused. So there's a couple of days before the opening ceremony where they do a few sort of prelims, I guess. So some football, some rugby, some handball, I think. So these are sort of team events where I think what they tend to do is have sort of group stages where they knock people out, and then they have semi-finals where it's more of a knockout. I think it's what they normally do in the football anyway. And so they're sort of doing these early stages, and of course with things like football, you know, they don't play it every day. They have a rest in between matches, so I guess they have to start early to sort of fit it all in. But that's fine. So, but we haven't got a football team. Team GB cannot organise a football team. They did when it was London Olympics, because they were like forced to. But because Team GP is made up of England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, then our football teams each of the nations, I think that's the right word for them, sovereign states, I don't know, has their own football team. I'm talking about soccer, by the way, for those of you who aren't from England and UK. And so they all have their own. So in order to put together one for the Olympics, you have to take players from each of those teams. And they just don't seem to be able to do this. It's like, because there's a rivalry between the teams, the people in charge can't seem to decide who to put where, which players. You know, if we only put forward an England team, that obviously wouldn't be fair, but then who are the best players from various other teams? Who would you pick? You know, I seem to remember 2012 we had Gareth Bale from Wales, we have Robbie Keane from Scotland, but their positions, then the England players that would be in their positions, where would they be dropped, or would they be put in other positions? You know, it was really quite complicated, and we did absolutely rubbish. I don't think we qualified out of the group stage, but I'm not sure. Can't remember for sure. So yeah, it was all a bit of a fiasco, and I don't know if it's the same for the women's football, because we don't have as much information about women's football in our press as we do about the men's, which is a shame, because the England women's team is very much better than the men's, in that they won the Euros last time, and they just seem to do a bit better than the men, but they just don't get the funding and the publicity and things like that. But it's getting better. I've noticed that one of our TV channels, I think the ITV channel, has women commentators on the men's matches now, and women down interviewing people with female pundits and things like that, which is a big step forward. But it's taking time, isn't it, for things to become equal. Same as the tennis, of course. It was only very recently that female umpires were allowed to officiate over men's matches, which is ridiculous. Why wouldn't they? Why shouldn't they? You know, and the male umpires are allowed to officiate on women's, but not the other way around. So that's been sorted, and the prize money is even for men and women in most tennis now. Now people say, well, in tennis, we're going to move to the mauve deep, we're going to finish this now. In tennis, in the 4 main tournaments, the big ones, the men play more sets than women, so their matches can go on, potentially their matches can go on for hours longer. So people say, well, that justifies the higher prize money. However, it's not the women's fault. The women don't decide that they play less time, and in all other tournaments the men and women play the same amount. So it's not really a good argument, and they could just reduce the amount all of them play in the big ones. I think they should. I think it gets a bit, even as a big tennis fan, I think it gets a bit boring when they're playing for so long. Plus, the players get quite a lot of injuries. So if they shorten the how long they had to play for, it might help them extend their careers a little bit. You know, but anyway, that's neither here nor there, I suppose. But so it's getting there, prize money, and some of them are our great male tennis player Andy Murray, who's won Wimbledon a few times, has won the Olympics twice. He's the only male tennis player to have defended his Olympic title. I think Serena Williams did as well. But the tennis hasn't been in the Olympics recently for that long. It was they didn't, because they're professional athletes, it wasn't in the Olympics because they're supposed to be amateurs, so the rules used to say. But anyway, so he's doing the Olympics this time, and it'll be his last ever competitive tennis matches, so he's retiring. But he's had such a lot of injuries, he's just struggling to play well. How messy? I'd really like another colour up here, but there isn't a pink that's I'm just looking. Actually, we could go for a pale pink to sort of blend it up at the end. What have we got? Just having a little look on my swatch chart while I'm colouring, which is why I'm going out the lines. We've got, all those are too. See, it's more the orangey pinks that don't bleed into white pen, and I don't want those. Aren't going to work with this particular colour scheme. So I'm not sure. Have a little look. Keep looking and thinking. Although I'm looking at my colouring at the moment, because I think maybe that's more important at this point in time, while my pencil's running back and forth across the page. The pink bloom is the sort of nearest, but it really is still quite orangey. I'm not sure if it's going to work. So this takes quite a while, as you can see, especially if you're very light-handed, you might need to layer up even more times than me. But I think it's worth it. Now, just looking from the side, it's quite hard for me to see. Yeah, I'd quite like to go with the mauve deep. I've got the mauve deep. I've used that. Yeah, see, the Bengal Rose Deep or something is just not going to work. Okay, I'm just going to have to persevere with this one and layer it up a little bit more. Now, if you, I do get people saying, what's the difference between the Castle Arts Gold and the Castle Arts Soft Touch? Well, I feel that these are slightly more creamy. There's a difference in the colours you get. Some of the colours in these I absolutely love. The sepia light it's a particular favourite of mine, the Old Rose, the Argent Grey. Those colours I really like. And the colours are different. Some of the colours are the same, and some of them have the same name but they're a different colour, which is confusing. I have done a comparison chart actually between the two sets of pencils. So where the names are the same, I've swatched them side by side and things like that, and put them both in colour order next to each other so you can see what you're getting, which is great for colour. Obviously it doesn't tell you anything about how they go down on the paper. Now these are more, I think, these are more expensive, and the wood definitely seems to be a better quality. It doesn't splinter as much in the sharpener, which is useful. I think it's nice. I mean, it's not, maybe it doesn't matter too much. What else can I say? Yeah, they seem to blend a little bit better. You know, both of them, I think, none of them are like Prisma where you can just move the colour around the page. They do it to some extent, but not to the extent of Prisma. So if you like something that you can smush and smudge, then no. But these seem to blend more, whereas I feel that the Soft Touch are more a layering pencil. I hope you get what I mean. Now you can layer up as much and as long as you like. I like this look here where it's a bit more solid, and so I need to persevere a little bit more. Now, to be honest, I'd quite like it to be a bit lighter at the top, a lighter shade. Now, as I've said to you, I haven't been able to find one in this set, so I might, if I wasn't doing a video, I might have been tempted to go to my Prismas, or yeah, probably my Prismas, and grab a pink, maybe the pink. No, the hot pink, maybe, something like that, to just do a little bit lighter in the sky at the top. But I'm almost there now. I think I'm going to leave it here. Now, it doesn't matter if you've got a few stripes. Now you can see it looks a bit stripy. I just realised how dark this looks. My lamp isn't, maybe it's not close enough. I don't know. Anyway, we've got, now I'm going to draw in the stars. See, maybe if I'd done it the other way up it would have been better, because the stars might have shown up better. I'm going to draw them in now before I finish the video. So I'm going to use my Jelly Roll 10 and just see how well they go down. Really? Now sometimes I find that with a white, however good the white is, you need to put a few layers down for it to really show up. So, but what you need to do if you're doing that is let them fully dry in between, because otherwise you find that you just end up taking off the white pen that you've already put down, rather than adding an extra layer. Sorry, I'm concentrating and trying to speak. Hard work. And having a hot flash. All good. What I'm going to do in between videos, this is looking slightly pink, this white, and it's not too bad. I'm just going to scribble, get some of the, what happens sometimes is the pencil clogs the pen. What I'm going to do in between videos is erase some of the bits where I've gone over the edge. So where I've gone over the edge into the roofs or over the edge here, I will just erase it, but I don't need to show you how to do that. I'm also not going to do any more stars because it's really boring. So I'm going to do this on my own because I want to do several layers. I've got to wait for it to dry and do it. And I will do a still picture at the end with it all in so that you can see. So I'm going to go now and finish. And yeah. And so thank you for watching. Keep watching, and then you'll see the finished picture with all the stars in. And yeah, so thank you for watching. Have a super day and happy colouring.